Hey there, welcome to my channel. I'm Marine, and today I'll be taking you through a tutorial of how to make this beautiful crochet arm warmer. It feels nice and comfortable on the body. So I'm going to be using robin yarn, and I'm going to be using 2 strands at a go because the yarn is small, and I'll also be using a 4.5mm hook. So to begin, I'm going to make a slip knot, and after that you're going to make a chain of 42, and according to my measurements, a chain of 42 equals to around 14 inches. After that, I'm going to skip the first chain from the hook and go into the next chain with a slip stitch, and followed by a half double crochet. For this kind of stitch, you're supposed to make sure that you chain in multiples of 2. So followed by a slip stitch, followed by a half double crochet, then a slip stitch into the next chain, followed by a half double crochet. So I'm going to keep interchanging between a slip stitch and a half double crochet up to the end of the chain. And don't forget, I chained 42, and that is, it equals to 14 inches, just in case you're using a different yarn. Make sure that your chain equals to 14 inches. So I'm going to keep interchanging between a slip stitch and half double crochet up to the end of the chain. Coming to the end of the chain, do your half double crochet, and I'm going to end off with a slip stitch. This is really important. Make sure that you end off with a slip stitch. After that, chain 1, turn your work, go into that very first stitch with a slip stitch, then followed by a half double crochet, followed by a slip stitch. So we are simply placing a slip stitch on top of a slip stitch and a half double crochet on top of a half double crochet. Slip stitch, half double crochet, followed by a slip stitch, then half double crochet. And I'm going to do that up to the end of the row. So I'm coming to the end of row 2. So that is a half double crochet followed by a slip stitch, then a half double crochet right there, followed by a slip stitch. So I'm ending my second row with a slip stitch, and after that I'm going to chain 1, then turn my work for row 3. So you're simply going to repeat row 2 until you come up with 80 rows. So 80 rows, according to my measurements, 80 rows equals to 26 inches. So make something like this. This is 26 inches like long and 14 inches wide. So make 2 of these. These are the sleeves. I'm going to be making this arm sleeve, like arm ribbing. It's going to go below the sleeve, and it's my kind of ribbing that I'm going to be using. So to begin, you're going to make a slip knot, and after making a slip knot, you're going to make a chain of 30, and that is around 9 inches. Make a chain of 30, and that is around 9 inches. After that, I'm going to go into the third chain from the hook with a double crochet, followed by a double crochet. So the 2 chains that you have left also count as a double crochet. So continue making your double crochets all the way up to the end of the chain. So I'm going to go into the last chain with a double crochet. Place your double crochet, and after that make a chain of 2. I'm going on to my second row. Make a chain of 2, then turn your work. So after turning my work for row 2, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go make a front post. double crochet. This is how you do the front post double crochet. To do the front post double crochet, you are supposed to go behind the post and followed by a back post. To do the back post, make sure that the post is behind the hook. So pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over, pull through 2 loops, so you remain with 1 loop on your hook, and followed by front post double crochet, followed by a back post double crochet. So I'm going to be interchanging between a front post and a back post double crochet up to the end of row 2. And I'm going to do that up to the end of row 2. So I'm coming to the end of row 2. This is a front post double crochet, followed by a back post double crochet, followed by a front post double crochet, I'm going to do a back post onto that. After that, I'm going to chain 2. So this is what I have. This is what it looks like. And don't forget, this is around 9 inches. And after that, I'm going to go into the second post right there, and it's a back post, so I'll keep it at the back. So for the back post, you're going to make sure that you keep it at the back, and the front post, you make sure that you keep it at the front by placing a front post double crochet onto it. And this is what I'm going to be doing. That's at the back, so make sure that you keep it at the back. Keep it at the back. This is in front, make sure that you keep it in front. So this is basically what you're going to do up to the end of row 3. And I made 5 rows to come up with the necessary arms ribbing that I needed. So I'm going to continue doing that up to the end of row 3. So coming to the end of row 3, this is in front, so you'll keep it in front by placing a front post double crochet, and once at the back you'll keep placing a back post double crochet. So I'm going to do this. We are coming to the end of row 3. And this is the final double crochet onto row 3, then chain 2. After that, turn your work. For row 4, keep the front ones in front by placing front post double crochet, and the ones at the back by placing a back post double crochet. So you are basically going to repeat row 3 until you come up with 5 rows, because I made 5 rows for this. So repeat row 3 until you come up with 5 rows. And I made 2 of these, and don't forget to make 2. You're supposed to make 2. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to attach my ribbing onto my sleeves. So it's a bit smaller than the sleeves, so you are simply supposed to make sure that it all fits by stitching it together like I already did this. So this is what we are going to do. This is what it's going to look like. So grab your sleeve, and after that bring on your ribbing, grab your darning needle. Before you grab your darning needle, you can use a slip stitch for this. Make sure that it's in place or in line in the other corner that you'll be stitching to. And after that, grab your darning needle and then begin putting your work together. So insert like I'm going to simply stitch my work together, but you can use the single crochet method, or you can use the slip stitch method. It's really up to you, but I prefer to stitch. So I'm going to stitch my work together. Don't forget, I'm stitching the ribbing onto the sleeve. So continue stitching your work together up to the end of the sleeve. So I'm coming to the end. This is what I'm going to do. Continue stitching, and I don't know where I was going off the camera, but yeah. So continue placing your work, stitch. I'm going to tie these two together, and after tying, remember I'm using the yarn I've been stitching with and the yarn that I started off with to make the sleeve. I'm going to cut it off when I'm done. So yeah, this is what I have. You can have a look. It looks really nice and I like it. So after this, I'm going to, the next step is to join, like, you know, to make the sleeve, like join the sleeve. And don't forget that when you're joining the sleeve, make sure that the wrong side is facing you. This is really important. Make sure that the wrong side is facing you. So yeah, this is my wrong side facing me as I'm going to begin stitching these two together. And when you're stitching, you have to make sure that you leave some space for the where the arm will be, like, you know, leave some space, like you're not supposed to stitch up to the end. And I made sure that I leave a space of around it. These are, like, you know, around 30 rows, and 30 rows are equivalent to 10 inches. So I'm going to place my stitch marker right there. That means I'm going to stitch my sleeve from where the ribbing starts from up to this point where I've placed the stitch marker right here. So grab your darning needle, and after that go into start stitching your sleeve together. I'm going to tie this off. This is what I did to make sure that it's really tight. And after that, I'm going to continue stitching my work together. Like, there's no specific point where you are supposed to place your darning needle, so be careful about that. Just make sure that your work is put together neatly and you're good to go. So I'm going to do this up to the point where I placed my stitch marker. And don't forget, for the opening I left 10 inches. I'm going to be leaving 10 inches unstitched. So simply continue stitching. Then when you reach that point where you placed your stitch marker, take it off, and after taking it off, you're going to stitch your work together up to that point. Don't forget, this is where we are stopping with the stitching, and we shall leave the rest of the part open. Then this is like weaving in my ends, yeah. So continue doing that, and when you're comfortable, you can cut off your yarn. I'm going to do this. When I'm comfortable with my coverage, I'm going to cut off my yarn, and after that go on to the next step. And don't forget you're going to do this exact same thing onto the other sleeve too. Make sure you leave an opening when you're stitching your work together. So this is what I have. Turn your work. This is the right side now, the right side of my sleeve. And yeah, I'm going to be having 2 of these. Make sure that you do the same onto this side too. So I'm done with that. So I'm going to be putting these 2 together, and I also go with the neck ribbing. I'm going to downsize my hook to a 3mm hook. So after that, I'm going to insert my hook and then make a slip. It's more like a slip stitch or a slip knot because I'm attaching the yarn. Make a slip knot or attach your yarn in whichever way is easy for you. And after that, I'm going to chain 1, then continue with sorry about that, I'm going to continue with single crochets all around my sleeve. I've begun from one end of the sleeve, so continue inserting your single crochets. Continue inserting the single crochets up to this point. I'll meet you at this point right here, coming to the end of the sleeve. So this is the last. So I'm going to attach another part of the sleeve with a slip stitch. Make a slip stitch just like that, and boom, it's attached. And after that, I'm going to chain 1, then continue inserting single crochets up to the other end of the sleeve. So continue inserting single crochets up to the other end of the sleeve. Right here, I'll meet you at this point. I'm going to single crochet up to the other corner. So coming to the end, insert your single crochet, and after that I'm going to again attach the other with a slip stitch still. And after slip stitching, so our work is fully put together, make a chain of 2. I'm going to go into the first single crochet, like the first stitch with a double crochet. I'm going to be placing double crochets into each and every stitch all around my work, because now we are working in rounds because our arms or sleeves are put together already. So continue inserting your double crochets. I'm going to do this all around my work. I'll meet you at the other point, at this point. So here we are. I'm going to place a double crochet in the middle, in the exact middle of where we made our slip stitch, and I'm going to continue placing double crochets into the next stitch, and I'll be placing double crochets all around my work because I'm going to do the exact ribbing that we did on the sleeves. It's the exact ribbing I'm going to place onto my work. So I'm going to continue doing this up to the other point where we started off the double crochet. Here we come, continue placing your double crochet, and place another one right there, one remaining. Place your last double crochet, and I'm going to join with a slip stitch, and after that I'm going to chain 2. So I'm going to begin double crocheting front post, go into that post right there, double crochet front post, then do I'm going to repeat the exact pattern that we did for the arms ribbing, and I'm going to do a double crochet back post only, followed by a double crochet front post. So I'm going to keep repeating this up to the end of let's say this is the third row, because we started off with a row of single crochet followed by a row of double crochet, and now the third row is a row of interchanging between a back post double crochet and then the front post double crochet. So I'm going to do this up to the end of the third row when we are joining to make the fourth row. So this is what you're going to keep doing. This is round 3, so I'll meet you at the end of round 3. So you're coming to the end of round 3. Place your front post double crochet followed by a back post double crochet, back post double crochet right there, and after that join your work using a slip stitch, then chain 2. So you're going to repeat row 3 until you come up with 7 rows. So I made 7 rounds, sorry. So repeat round 3 until you come up with 7 rounds of this kind of thing. So just continue until you come up with 7 rounds. This is what my work looks like. This is what it looks like. So you're going to keep working in rounds until you come up with 7 rows. So this is what I have. I'm coming to the end of my 7th row. Don't forget, when the next post is back loop, back post, go into it with a back post double crochet followed by a front post double crochet followed by a back post double crochet. So yeah, this is the end of my round. Like, this is the 7th round. After that, join your work together with a slip stitch, and after that make a chain of 1. This is what I have. These are 7 rows. Make a chain of 1, and then I'm going to go around my work with single crochets. This is like my edging. So continue placing your single crochets all around the front part. So place single crochets all around your work. I'll meet you at this point. So coming to the end, still placing my single crochets. Continue placing your single crochets up to where you started off from. Place the last single crochet, sorry, the last slip stitch, because you're supposed to end off your work with a slip stitch. I'm going to make that, then chain 1, and after chaining 1 I'm going to cut off my yarn, cut off the yarn, and after cutting off the yarn, pull out the loop. So this is what I have. Your work is basically done, and remaining part is to, try to weave in this yarn. I'm going to be placing another row around the opening, like an edging around the opening. So yeah, but first I'm going to make this yarn right here. I'm going to weave it in. Weave it in and then cut it off. So after cutting it off, I'm going to be placing my edging around the opening right here. It's just going to be a matter of working in single crochets. I'm going to be placing a number of single crochets. to make my work a little bit tight and not too stretchy. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So make a slip, attach your yarn. This is how I attach my yarn, and then after attaching my yarn, I'm going to be placing the single crochets. So begin placing your single crochets. This is how I place my single crochet. You simply insert your hook, pull up a loop, then yarn over, pull through 2, and you're done placing your single crochets. So continue repeating that. I'm going to repeat this all around my work. So I'm coming to the end of this round. I made one round of single crochets because it's just an edging. So after that, I'm going to pull up your loop, cut off your yarn. Don't forget to weave in the ends. I already showed you how to do that. You weave in the ends, then cut your yarn, and your crochet sweater is done. So thank you for watching, and if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and you can also subscribe to my channel. Thank you.